Rock it like he's soul. Rock it like he's soul. Rock it like he's soul. Morning everyone. We're starting a bit earlier today, but why not? Why the hell not? It's not like this YouTube thing doesn't have a rewind option, huh? Now you may be wondering, why am I wearing this hat? Well, there is a specific reason behind it. And the specific reason is I need to get something done before Halloween. Yes, you heard me. Spooky skeleton time. And that is, I need to sort out some bits and bobs for a little house party, housewarming thingy we're doing. And I ordered a witch's hat online. And unfortunately, the witch's hat is not very witchy for me. It's a bit plain. It's very comfortable. It's very comfortable. It's a nice hat. But I did want to witchify it a bit. So I'm going to put the Cthulhu cross stitch on pause for a sec. And for 1 or 2 streams, I'm just going to do my first freehand embroidery stitchy thingy-majiggy on thingy. On fabric. On, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not fabric. I am looking for a specific word. The word is haberdashery. Actually, is haberdashery just the thing about hats, or is it the general art of hatting? I thought it was haberdashery. Anyway, no, haberdashery is where you go in sewing. Like, it's where you keep all the bits and bobs. What am I thinking of? What is the word I'm thinking of? There's a word. There is a word specifically for people who deal in hats, and the word is eluding me right at this moment. Anyway, we need to witchify this hat. Yeah, what is it called? I thought it was a haberdasher. But haberdashery is more like generic sewing stuff. stuff, I'm fairly certain. Fairly certain, not certain, just fairly certain. Yeah. We'll see how we go. See how we go. As I say, I have done some freehand stitch stuff before. It's been a very long time. I've not, to my knowledge, to my recollection, ever done freehand embroidery. I think I might have maybe once. Not sure. Did a bunch of cross stitches as a kid, but I don't remember ever doing freehand embroidery. I think one of the reasons why so many people have memories of doing cross stitch as a kid is because you can do cross stitch with a blunt needle because the aid has really got holes in it, and so it's quite a safe thing to get kids into. Okay, we're not going to use the vivid yellow just yet. We're going to start off with a bit of floss from this. Now I am not working off a pattern. I haven't drawn anything on the hat. I'm very much winging it. Got some old needles here. I'm going to go for one of my larger ones so I have an easier time threading it. That being said, it is going to be a more annoying threading experience because well, yeah, you know why, small head. Well, I actually have a very large head. It's one of the things I've always got to think about when buying hats. My mum's got a large head as well. It's always rather funny because my mum's got a large head, but my dad's the narcissist. Yeah, I always just found it funny because, there's so many metaphors we have in life, oh, you're so big-headed, and yeah, the size of your head actually has nothing to do with that statement. But English, we like to make things difficult for people. Just what we do. And yes, I know I'm doing double stitch, and I know there's other ways of doing this. I'm just in a very particular mode, and I'm looking for comfort bits. So, don't mind me, as they say. Don't mind me at all. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to run a very simple stitch around the edge and around the, not the edge, the bit where, and we're not going to be able to do this. See here, I don't know how well you will be able to see it. There is the sewing stitch where the hat's been given a bit of thing, and then they've very, very nicely hidden that stitch by how they've layered the fabric. They've done that in a few places, but I actually want to call attention to it. Hey, and worst case, if we fuck this up, we just are unpicking some stitches, and we fuck this up, worst case, we're unpicking some stitches, and we're learning. That's basically where I'm at the moment. It's basically where I'm at. Because I wanted to try something new, and I thought to myself, well, sorry, just trying to make it so I can secure the stitch. working on a 3D surface rather than a 2D surface does bring a whole range of interesting new challenges. Just trying to do the most basic satin stitch round the hem. Then I want to do a moon pattern. But for the moment, just want to hand sew this rim, and we are relying quite heavily on the eye to draw it in. And this is going to be an interesting challenge. I think it's going to be a fun little thing. I kind of want to go straight to the moons and the decoration, because I think I might have started with the least rewarding part. Oh no. Yes, I think I may have started with the least rewarding part. Well, you know what they can say? Suck it. Yeah, this is an immediate learning experience for me. Because we're not working on Ada. Because all my sewing that hasn't been cross-stitch has been with the sewing machine, and the sewing machine does so many stitches so fast that you're barely even think about it. You just run a stitch. And then occasionally you have to hand sew a conclusion, but I'll be honest, I often don't. I'm often quite messy with my sewing. So I need to clear some desk space and get my sewing machine out of the cupboard again now that we're heading into winter. Do some fun bits. I'll be the first to say it has been immensely rewarding to get back into cross stitch and to have something to do with my hands. I do think once I'm finished the Cthulhu project, I won't go straight onto the embroidery stuff I was talking about. I'll probably do some painting or some other physical art project, just because I can. Just because I can. You know, this is not, there's no obligation here. This is entirely an amusement. Entirely a little picadillo. Picadillo? A thing one does purely for their own, shall we say, yeah, a thing one does purely for their own, I don't want to use the word enlightenment because it's not really about that. Amusement? Amusement covers it. I am amused. It's funny to me because I know that the most efficient thing is just to find a hand position and just to stick to it and then repeat and rinse and repeat. But at the moment, my brain is just like, oh, yes. Oh, it's such a messy stitch. I can sort of see how much I'm struggling to hold a straight line. Which in of itself is a fascinating thing to me, just because I'm like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. This is how this fabric will behave. And it is rather funny. I'm rather sad. The improv class, I think I've mentioned before, which I do on Wednesdays, is coming to a conclusion. Not this week, next week. But next week I'll actually be in Brighton for the Develop Conference. And that in of itself will be entertaining, shall we say. That in of itself will be entertaining. So, that's what we'll be doing. But I'm sad because I have been really enjoying that class. Signed up for another batch just because it's such a good laugh. But they're not till January, unfortunately. I will say, the fickle creature I am, my skate lessons, I am a little bit over them at the moment. I love skating, don't get me wrong. I love skating. But it's winter. It's winter. And I know a good little skater would zoom through the winter. And to be fair, I normally do skate in the winter, just not as much. Not enough to be leveling up, you know? Because there's a big difference there. There is a big difference. Between enough skating that you're enjoying skating and you're going about and you're doing your skate thing versus... Oh, sorry, I need to just trim this. Versus you are doing enough skating to get better. And get better on a weekly basis and try new things on the week. And it's just not where my head is at the moment. Which is unfortunate, but especially because I've got a block booking of 3 months of lessons. To be fair, I'm a month and a half into that 3 months. But it's also a lesson in trust your gut, because when I was booking lessons, I was like, well, normally this is when I'd be winding down my skating into a less active period. Then I sort of convinced myself, the classes are smaller, it'll be good. And it has been, but the telling thing for me was there was no lessons for a week because a bunch of the instructors were in Barcelona. And when that happened, I was happy. That's not good. That's not good. So yeah, that is a problem, shall we say? Let me just run that through there. And run that through there. There we go. Yeah, very, very different to the cross set. And I am bored of that, so I think I'm going to go straight on to the moon pattern that I wanted to try. Let's try the moon pattern. Let's see if we can make this work. I wonder how a double stitch is going to go. Morning, morning, Dougal. As you can see, we're not doing the Cthulhu stitch this morning. I'm witchifying a hat I ordered. It's meant to be a witch's hat, but it just doesn't look very witchy to me at the moment. So I'm making it witchier with some freehand embroidery stitch, which, as I was saying at the start of the stream, I do not recall ever doing. So this is a learning experience. I finished stitches and stuff before, well, sewing on a machine, and you need to do a bit of hand sewing to finish a bit. But oh my god, Claire, you've done the tangle thing where you tried to take two pieces of thing off the floss and you rushed because you wanted to take two pieces off, and now it's got a bit of a tangle and no one's happy. There we go. It's done a little bit of a knot to itself. This happens. This happens from time to time. Let's be honest, it happens a lot, which is why I shouldn't do what I did. But I get impatient. There is a lesson in there. Oh, for fuck's sakes. This is just becoming a tangled mess. This is just becoming a tangled mess. But yeah, so it's a complete learning experience. It's fun. It's a new thing. It's what I'm trying to do. Okay, come on. Let's pull through there. How was everyone's weekend? I admit I was sick most of the weekend. So a little bit under the weather, but mostly recouped. Definitely feeling the winter. I think I got a mild cold of sorts. So hard to tell because at the moment whenever someone's a little bit sick, you're always a little bit concerned, including yourself. You kind of forget that getting a bit of a bug occasionally used to be a fairly regular thing for all of us. Okay. And yes, I'm still. I suppose I could do. I probably should do. Yeah. Do a more traditional. Yeah, let's do a more traditional. Be more efficient. But yes, do you have a good weekend? Did you do anything fun? I have to admit, I'm really enjoying the New World MMO. I didn't play any of it on Sunday, but I played a bunch on Saturday. Sunday, I was just dead. There's no going about it. I just did nothing on Sunday. Which always makes me feel a little bit shit. But, I talk a lot about 0 days and stuff, and they do bug me. They really, really do. But, sometimes you are sick. But I think I'd be a lot less bothered by how I spent my Sunday if I just got an hour in on something, But my head just wasn't at it. Yeah, 0 days. 0 days are the killer. Having low productivity days, they suck, but 0 days really are where it sucks. Just came to best high sessions, compute shaders. Yeah, I know. Thank you so much. It's one of those things that those videos are definitely being my most popular, and people do appreciate them. I should maybe do more, but honestly, I also should do things I enjoy. It's not to say I don't enjoy coding. I love coding. It's my job. But yeah, I don't know. Just not really engaged in that. Gacha brain. Genshin Impact. Yeah. Genshin Impact. Honestly, I have gotten so much fun out of that game. It's been really, really fantastic. At some point, I should dust off my sewing game and continue on with that project. But I have just not been feeling code in my free time lately. There we go. That should be enough. Okay, let's start on the moon. Let's start on the moon. We want to bring it up from the hem a little bit because we want to we want to have less circumference to do because we're lazy, but B, we do want it to be nicely clearly visible. Now let's see if I've knotted it enough. I think I knotted it enough. Good. Okay, how big do we want these? Because we're going to make a commitment, and however big the commitment, I made a commitment. Oh dear, dearie me. Yeah, it does worry me sometimes that by far the most popular videos on this channel are the compute shaded ones, and at the same time I'm not doing anything like that anymore on this channel, and I'm like, people are clearly subbed for this, and I'm like, you know what, the algorithm will sort it out. Yeah, I'm not particularly worried. Okay, now that I have defined the slightly wobbly moon, because let's be honest, everything about this project is going to be slightly wobbly. Let's try to do a satin stitch, and oh dear, I realized I'm not stitching at all to camera. Satin stitch is just a fancy name. Oh, sorry. There we go. A satin stitch is just a fancy name for stitching lines very close to each other to make a finish. You know what though, what I will say about this project is no matter how it turns out, it'll be amusing, interesting and entertaining to do the project. Oh God. You know what? Normally you would do the outline at the end. I'm going to do the outline first because I'm completely lost. I am completely... Oh. Motherfucker. Yeah, you've added through the compute stuff. Yeah, I thought you did. Most people did. And I honestly, I got very discouraged for a while because I looked at my audience demographics and everything, and I looked at stuff, and it was just like, I felt a little bit trapped by it all. And I was like, sod this. You know, you've got a good paying job. You're not doing this shit for anything other than your own amusement. Why the fuck do I care? Is honestly the truth. And then I kind of just sorted it all out. Because I was like, do you know, if you just do stuff you want to do, and if people want to watch it, fine. If they don't, fine. Because I was like, oh, do I have to set up a new channel and blah blah blah, and I was just like, it sounds like work. And that sounds like work for a thing that you don't really care about. Like, I mean, I love doing these streams, and I love doing video content. It's fun. That's why I do it. But yeah, it became a thing for a while. You gotta protect yourself from capitalism sometimes, because capitalism will occasionally go, you know that thing you like? I'm gonna take it from you. And you gotta go, no, why capitalism? Why, you mean thing? And you're like, because money. And you're like, well, this is a really shitty way to earn money. Frankly speaking, this is a very shitty way to earn money. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it because I want to earn money. I'm doing it because it gives me a chuckle. And I think that's the way to go about it. Help. The computer videos would help a friend. The skating videos were because I was learning to skate, and I wanted to document the process so I could see how I got better over time. I'm semi-regretting splitting off the skate video stuff into a separate channel, but I don't think it's all that bad because I know I haven't been posting skate videos in a while, but when I was posting skate videos, the people who wanted the skate videos really weren't interested in anything else, and there was a lot of people who binged through playlists. And so I was like, well, if they're binging through playlists and stuff, and part of me was also just like, I will make the algo happier this way, and I'm like, well, I'm not a servant to the algorithm. The algorithm can go suck it. In and out of focus. Which camera? Sorry, I'm not paying huge attention to my face at the moment. It's gorgeous, but no, I get self-conscious if I look at myself constantly. Oh, this fucking thing. One sec. Okay, what we have to do is we have to switch to the hand source. 1 sec, my face will go away. Properties. Configure video. Where is your focus? Camera control. Focus. Shunk. Oh wow. Lunk. How drunk do you want to be? We'll just put it on 0 focus because, let's face it, we always want it to be. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. There we go. No, I enjoy being back at it, and frankly, being on YouTube feels a lot nicer because it's not as twitchy. But it also means I don't have to stress about uploading the VODs and saving all that stuff, because that was just a little bit of extra work after every stream, frankly. And I don't trust Twitch as a platform to keep my stuff around. I mean, they've been terrible at it historically. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just move all this shit to YouTube. Do it there, because I was uploading the VODs here anyway. And I got a bit annoyed at one point because I looked at how many, because I mean I've been doing this streaming thing on and off since the Justin TV days, and I looked at how many hours do I think I've streamed, and it's a hard thing to work out because some of my heaviest streaming days were before analytics were that like super huge and stuff. So I'm sure Twitch has a number somewhere in their database. I say I'm sure Twitch has a number. I don't know. I'd have to go look at the open source code. But because they're not big on storing things. And I just realized there was not much evidence of all of those years of streaming, which in some ways is a good thing. In some ways it's a good thing because, God, some of those streams got spicy. I think not the spiciest thing I ever did on stream, but one of the spicier things I did on stream, which is documented, is when I did all the Spelunky streams, and then I made a montage of me just going bollocks, bollocks, bugger. So I just died constantly. I just made a Spelunky death compilation. And then there was the Spelunky rum runs. Oh, I haven't done a Spelunky rum run in forever. To be fair, that was when Ducky was still in Belgium, and I was basically just a bit lonely in the flat, and I'd occasionally just go, do you know what? We're gonna get horribly drunk and play Spelunk. We're gonna Spelunk drunk. That was fun. Always fun. Because it was a bit of a pain to go out in Portsmouth, because Portsmouth. And so I was like, yeah, let me just stream and do that, and that was fun. Yeah, there's definitely a time period there where it was most active. Because a few years earlier, when I was in Cambridge, I actually had easy nightlife to go to in town. Not as great, but thing. Wasn't exactly Newcastle, was it? And now I've got London, but I tend to go out less these days. I still go out the occasional event club. Event club? Clubbing event. There was your friend with no pants. Oh dear, I'm trying to remember that now. That's going back. I'm trying to remember when. Oh, yes, I know who that was. I remember who that was now. She was actually at LARP this weekend, and we had to take care of her cat because she lives not far from us. Yeah, she's doing well. She's good. She was the mistress of ceremonies at our wedding. She's a lovely, lovely angel. Okay, more of a devil than an angel, let's be honest, but she's sweet. She's sweet. Yeah, oh God, I did discover an old, I think it's a BBC show. Might not be a BBC show. It's an old British show. From 2013. God, it feels crazy to call a show from 2013 old. I've been streaming that long. Anyway, called Vicious. Sir Ian McKellen and some of the other lovely chaps. And I'm not sure the show would age super well. Like if it aired now, it would probably be called a bit too offensive in ways. But it's about an old gay couple in London who a rather attractive boy moves in upstairs. And it's just their antics. Motherfucker. See, this is why I do the folded stitch thing, because it's just easier. Yeah, but it's just their antics, and it is lovably enjoyable. One sec, I gotta think so. Anyway, it only has 2 seasons, 6 episodes a season, and a Christmas special, so 13 episodes in all. And I just binged it yesterday when I was out for the count, and it was adorable. It was absolutely adorable. As I say, it was one of those, how do I describe it? Sweetly vicious? You know how it is with old queens. They're, well, it's a stereotype. It is entirely a stereotype. And it's a stereotype informed by selection bias, right? Because if you're a gay, well, I was going to say gay man, but a gay anything, who was active during the 70s or even the 80s, chances are you either were relatively quiet about it or you very much weren't. And yeah, the community was just very much in its own way. Apparently it's on PBS in the US now. You can see a page with preview clips. Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime Video, it's on Amazon Prime, and that's where I caught it all and I watched it all. And it's just, as I say, it's a bit dated. As with most gay shows, it's got a few offensive lesbian jokes in, because gotta have that good old misogyny to prove you're a man. Yeah, as I say, it's a bit dated, but it's fucking hilarious. And it's really sweet in parts. And Ian McKellen does a stellar job, because I forget the name now because he's quite a famous actor, but he's mostly a stage actor. Friend of Ian's is his partner. And you can tell that the two of them just have had wonderful years of acting together and chemistry, and they just revel in the performance, really. They just really, really enjoy it. And that makes it all more fun to watch. Makes it all the more fun to watch. Because, yeah, it's just nice to watch characters, isn't it? It's just lovely to watch characters be characters. So this is the thing I'm finding with the satin stitch that is deceptively difficult, that I did not realize, because people make it look so easy on YouTube. Is spacing your stitches just enough that they don't flow into the same hole, which with a coarse fabric like this is actually surprisingly difficult. But then close enough that the lines, do you know what? Actually, now I've realized I've done something rather silly. Yes, I should not be looping. I should be, yeah, that's a point. Because then if I come out the same hole, but then again, a loop stitch is going to be stronger. That's interesting. Yeah, so if I loop the stitch, so if you imagine the surface of the fabric, and then you imagine running circles through it, that's going to be stronger, and that's actually going to be a reinforcing stitch. Whereas if I don't loop the stitch, but I double back on myself, the chance of the stitch pulling out much higher, much higher, and there's no structural support to that stitch, because you're going to strain the fabric a lot more, but you're going to use a lot less thread. And given the satin stitch is infamous for how much thread it consumes, maybe I should just try that. This is actually the thing I'm really enjoying about doing sewing, is rather than just follow what people say, I've been sort of just playing around with it, thinking about a lot of this stuff from first principles, which means I've made a ton of fuck-ups, absolute ton of fuck-ups, but it does mean I've learned faster, and I've just really enjoyed, the whole process, really, because I have been been enjoying the process. Because it's fun to learn. It's always fun to learn. Quite funny, actually. I was watching, what was I watching? SNL? I think an SNL clip. And they were talking about, what was it? NFL doing something scandalous. I know, shocker. Anyway, that wasn't the funny bit. The funny bit was they had LeVar and Burton impression of LeVar taking over like NFL coaching, and yes, they made a Star Trek joke, but even better, they made a Reading Rainbow joke, and it's just this idea of this really wholesome nerd coaching football, and it's like, yeah, I'd sign up for that. Yeah, I always find that amusing. Like, if my generation, humor circa 2001 really, 2002 really peaked, maybe 2001 peaked, gross out, everything goes kind of humor, salad fingers and all that kind of jazz. I feel like the current generation's like peakness is like peak wholesome. I mean, I hope it's not peak wholesome, actually. I really hope it continues to peak. I hope that wholesome continues to be the thing that is, the medium of popular discourse. So it's like the trendy thing is to make wholesome content. I hope that continues, because it's very satisfying. it's very warming to the heart. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always been pockets of wholesome content. You got, the Mr. Rogers and the Bob Rosses of the world and whatnot, but yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot more of a thing these days. That was the other thing, is Chappelle crossed the line recently, and it was a rather upsetting thing where he did a new comedy special. I'm always saying to people, well, Chappelle's Chappelle. He's an offensive comic, but he usually has a really interesting thing to say. Though I heard a lot of critique about his latest special, Closer it's called, and I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a watch. And I'm gonna be the first to say I laughed my fucking ass off. Laughed my head off. But he did cross a few lines on that one, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't really defend him on this one. I'm like, oof, that's a little bit too spicy, Chappelle. It's a little bit over the line. And so, yeah, it's a thing. I can see how people fall over that line, though. I can see how it happens. I don't think he's a bad person or anything. It's just he's managed to walk himself into some shitty opinions. Hopefully, he learns. Ted Lasso in American football. I have heard about it and I've wanted to watch it, but I think it's on Apple TV at the moment. I think it's Apple TV. And that is honestly one of the few we don't have. Maybe I'll give it a year or so, and then we'll switch out one of our subscriptions to Apple TV. That's the nice thing about these streaming services, is if you don't want to run too many of them at a time, you can just rotate them in and out, as you know, on a yearly basis, or sometimes even a monthly basis, frankly. And then you're like, oh, what are we watching now? Let's work through the back catalogue of such and such a streaming service. That's one way to handle it. Because there was another Apple TV show that I was thinking to myself, oh, that looks good. Foundation? Don't know if it's any good. Have no knowledge at all of it. But I think there was an actress in it I liked, and the poster looked kick-ass. That was like my thought process. It's like, it's sci-fi, the poster looks kick-ass, and who was in it? There's some lead actress in it who I was like, ooh, I like her stuff. Having said that, oh my god, she's in a Netflix show and it's awful. Ducky's watching it, space aliens thing, and it's dreadful. In her own words, influences in space. That's what it feels like. And you're just like, yeah, no. Oh, this moon is tall and skinny. This moon is not a healthy moon. You know, in retrospect, I should probably have started with the back rather than the front, so that my mistakes were less visible. But sod it, I say. We're just going to make the mistakes in the front. Oh my word. Netflix go burr with original content. It really does. Do you know, I like Netflix's model, because Netflix's model is they look for a reason to say yes. Which means they do fund a lot of stuff for a season or two, and then it dies, right? Because that's the other thing, is they know their analytics from their analytics. The most profitable thing for most shows, not all shows, but for most shows, is, I think it was 3 seasons of content as peak. From what they found. Now again, not all shows, but most shows they funded, that is the number that they have landed on. That is the number that they have landed on. Oh dear, I might have cut that a little short. We'll see if we can save it. This next one I'm just going to do a fold on, because I'm like, pop that in there. Yeah, I think no matter how this project turns out, I'm going to wear it, because it'll make a fun conversation. And some crater ridges or landing probes to find the snakes. Could be, but it's going to be a pattern of full moon to new moon. Whoop, around the old witchy hat. That is the plan. Full moon to new moon. That is the conception. I also want to do a spider web, because I think if I just get a nice thick white thread and I just run that, I can just freehand that, no bother at all. But I didn't want to start with that, because I think it would give me a bit too much confidence and go in a weird direction. Nice. One of my friends shit posting again. What is the first thing when you say when you take off your dog's collar? She naked. It happens with our cats as well. We always joke, he's bloody nudist. Get that collar back on. It is funny how we invent little lives for our pets. Whole little personas. I mean, not fully invent. It's not like we make them from nothing. We generally are informed by their dumbassery. Their adorable dumbassery. Sorry, I'm just trying to not be a dumbass myself right now. There we go. Come on. It's shockingly difficult to make an even circle because the human eye is just really good at like spotting an even circle. It's just like one of those things where you're like, oh, that is not a circle. That is a circle. Like, we're surprisingly better at spotting circles than we are drawing them and making them, which feels unfair. It feels unfair to be like, don't know if that's the correct positioning, but I'm mostly concerned about securing the stitch at the moment because I don't want to yank it. There we go. There's a little bit of a fold in the satin stitch, which I'm told is a big no-no, because it clumps and makes the stitch look less elegant. But hey, I am not a very elegant person. I try to be. But then I get drunk. Nah, I think I'm too interested in having fun to maintain a sophisticated air of elegance. Okay, now we're just going to run a stitch around the edge, and hopefully this can give us some of that sophistication, some of that finishing quality. I do love the whole concept of embroidery and creating texture and shape purely from thread. The thing that actually made me fall in love with it again was reading A Sentence of the Bookworm, which, as I'm sure none of you will be surprised, I am horribly addicted to. But it just made me realize how much of a technical marvel the history of sewing is, and just one of those achievements of science, of engineering, of craft, that sewing is. And it's like, well, my sewing depends heavily on machines. And I was like, what if it didn't? What if I did more of it? And yeah, it just so happened at the time when we were going up to Scotland, my wife had bought this cute little, no, I think she had got it as a gift, cross-stitch set. She's like, I want to do this in Scotland. And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I haven't done that since I was a kid. And as I say, Bookworm was in my brain, and I was like, well, how about I do one? And then I think Ducky did one, and I did every other little pattern in the little kit. And I was like, I want a bigger cross stitch. And then I went straight to the Cthulhu, straight for the Scottish Cthulhu, which is why the Cthulhu we're working on, which I will, actually it's packed away at the moment. I was going to say I'll grab it, but it's not easy to hand. which is coming along well, and we will definitely continue it on and finish it. But for the next week and a half, the project is going to be to witchify this hat as much as we can in the time that we have. Do you know this? It's surprisingly difficult sometimes to see the needle against this grey fabric. Got just the sort of right colour that the needle can fade into it. It's like if the stitch is in the background, the needle's bloody obvious, but if it's just hat fabric in the background, then it can be a little bit invisible at times. Go. It fascinates me because, as I say, there's so much like of modern civilization that goes into making sewing work. It really is a technical marvel. But on the flip side, it's also it's such a craft, right? Because if people stop sewing, there would be so many techniques and methods that are just lost. I mean, a lot of it's passed on in books and videos and things like that, but a lot of it's not. It's one of those things that we know is that doing is really the most secure vault of knowledge. Bring it back to my nerdy roots. There was a time when recently, actually, when I think it was ARM and Intel both were in a bit of a panic because a whole crop of engineers of a certain age were coming up to retirement, and they basically talked these engineers out into a staggered retirement plan because they realized that the quality of their chips was going down purely because there was a bank of knowledge that they hadn't quite fully captured from this group of engineers. And so they brought back some of them for consulting. Apparently they staggered the retirements of some others. I don't know any of these people because I just don't. But I remember, who was it who was telling me about that? I think that was James who was telling me about that. Yeah. And I just remember being fascinated because I remember thinking to myself, well, I mean, that's both lovely and a little bit worrying that there's so few people could dent the quality of chip making. It makes you think about, like, I'm sure you've heard about it happening where there's been some conference or something that a lot of people who are an expert in the field to are flying out to or traveling to, and then some plane crashes and like 20 of the world leading experts on such and such a topic have died, and you're like, oh shit, oh damn. Because yeah, it does happen. I remember there was one plane crash not so long ago where a whole bunch of AIDS researchers died, and you're just like, wow, that sucks. That's firmly in the suckage category. Come on, push it through and don't poke yourself. There we go. There we go. I think I made the right call to what's the word I'm looking for? To not do the structural version of the stitch. To just make it loop back. I used a lot less thread that way. A lot less thread. So I'm just securing the stitch on the back with a knot. Not me, governor, I swear. Here we go. I love how messy hand stitching is compared to machine stitching. It's immediately obvious when something's been hand stitched versus machine stitched. it is immediately obvious, and not in a bad way. In a, oh, that's human. And there's a reason why we want to machine stitch most things. There is a reason, but it is nice when where did I put the shaky hands old person tool? Damn it. My little threading tool, I had it. Do you know, I think I might have put it back. Let me just go dig and grab. There we go. I'm gonna have to wrap up in a sec, but I want to at least thread this and start the next what am I looking for? Stitch. Just so I'm not completely lost. Brains clear. You are wonderfully dumb at times. So you see, it's a very simple tool. You just put the thing through the layer. Gives this really big eye that anyone can thread through, and then you literally just do that, and then bam, you're through. It's handy. I tend not to need it, especially when cross stitching. I tend not to need it, but hey, if you need it, you need it. Okay. Secured. Okay, I have a little idea actually. Where's my fabric marker? There's my fabric marker. I have a little idea of if there's a seam just there. Let's say that, where are we placing this? We're placing this, okay, on the center hem there. How many? 2.5. On the back, if I use a fabric marker, then I can help myself out with a little bit of a circle on the back. No one's gonna see it. Let me just remind myself. My brain is doing that thing where I'm like, my brain is derping on, yeah, half moon is straight line, yeah. Cool. Coolio-zio. Gonna go from there. Yeah, we got this. We're gonna go from there to there-ish somewhere. Oh no, wrong direction. There-ish somewhere. Okay. Gonna get this started, even if we're over a little smidge of a bit, because I just want to get this stitch secured, and I just didn't want to have one tiny loose bit of thread lying around. Pull that through there. Pull that through there. Oof, that is super wide. Next time, Claire, pay attention to how wide you're going. Okay, it's going to be a little bit wonk, but we can do a little bit wonk. A little bit wonk is very on brand for us. And yes, we're going to commit that travesty of crossing the... It's such coarse fabric, and just trying to find the right angle to poke in. It's rather tricky doing the hokey pokey. Rather tricky. Don't want that stitch to pull too much. Yeah, let's get this done. I don't care if I overrun a little bit. We're gonna get this stitch done because I feel good about this stitch, and I want to reach a nice conclusion point. Nope. Fell well short. We're just gonna try fix it. We're just gonna try fix it. Here we go. No. Surprisingly difficult. Because now that I have this frame of reference on the back, I'm like, oh, you fucking up. You fucking up a lot. I think I understand it. I think what's happening, and it makes sense when I think about it, I think what's happening is the stitch is pulling and just changing the shape ever so slightly. And so my brain is placing the stitch in the wrong place. Though this does make me have very fond memories of math class, where I would come up with arbitrary rules for colouring in shapes and geometry, and judging by Vihart's channel, which if you don't know it, is she's a fantastic math YouTuber. Judging by her channel and its contents, I take it as something a lot of nerdy math kids did. Colouring in shapes and figuring out arbitrary rules. I did discover a thing actually that made me very happy. Did discover a thing that made me very happy, and that was the existence. Okay, I've got a question for you. If you have a circle, a loop, right? So I take a piece of paper and I fold it and I make a loop, right? That's a normal loop. But if I take that piece of paper and I fold it once, well, folding it over on itself and sticking it to itself, I make a Mobius strip, right? So you've got a loop and a Mobius strip. You've got those two geometries in your head. Now, here's the interesting part. If you take the loop and you cut along the circumference of that loop, like the the way the paper's folded, you'll get 2 strips of paper and you'll get 2 loops, right? Here's the cool part. Do the same to the Mobius strip and you get 1 loop. It's actually like twisted on itself. And this is all to do with how the geometry twists when you connect it. Because then if you cut it into 3 segments, you actually get 1.5 loops. As in, like, you get a free floating loop that is like on the line of the Mobius strip. The other loop. And it's exactly half its, if you've done a perfect cut, it's exactly half its size. And you can approach this in a different way of basically taking 3 identical strips of paper and then making a Mobius strip out of the middle one, but then you braid it. And it's just one of those little properties of geometry that made me go, ooh, squee. I like that. I like that a lot. I was very happy with that discovery. It made my morning. Evening? When did I discover that? It was a YouTube video. And I was like, this is good knowledge. This is sacred knowledge. Me happy. Me very, very happy. We really need to start getting... There we go. Here we go. This is going better now. Yeah, coming up to the point where we can start running. Neat, this is not. But it's very personal. And I like that. I like that a lot. So for those of you who don't know, I'm now releasing a web novel. And I publish it, a new chapter, every Thursday. I've moved the publishing. Well, I'm going to still continue to publish it on my personal website and Wattpad, but I'm also publishing it on Royal Road, which looks to be a better location for this kind of thing, to be honest. From what I can tell in the genre that I'm writing in, it looks to be a better fit, shall we say. Okay, our wobbly moon has wobbled enough. I think it is time to do this encircling stitch. Yeah, so I'm publishing a new chapter every Thursday. It's going well so far. I am behind my word count for this week, but I've got quite a few slop over from last week's chapter, in the sense I moved some stuff from last week's chapter into the next chapter, just because it felt like the third chapter was running a bit long, because I aim for about 5,000 to 8,000 words a chapter. Or part. Weekly update. That's my weekly word count I roughly aim for. Anyway, it's been going. And if any of you are reading it, I'd love to hear how you're finding it, because it's a very interesting experience writing this weekly novel. I am enjoying it so far. I really am enjoying it. But I'd love to hear what people think of it. It's based in a world that I have spent a lot of time in. It's a world I originally made when I was in high school. But I've run multiple campaigns in it. I've done several comics in it. I have spent a fair bit of time in it, shall we say. And the particular story is kind of just flowing out of me at the moment. It's a really fun process. Mother, stop you! Don't you dare! We're running 15 minutes over, and you keep on coming loose like a bloody hussy. Come on, get that stitch back in. Get that stitch back in. There we go. I swear. And I'm going to just do the lazy thing for now, because I'm being super lazy. And I am feeling the time pressure now, because I really do need to get into work in 15 minutes. I like to have a little decompressed time between work and stream. Nope. Yes. So high strung. Trying not to be. I'm trying to be chill. But when a bit of thread is not playing ball, I get rather upset. Just a little bit upset. Nope. Stop trying to poke my eye out. Come on. There we go. It's still on target. There we go. Man, this fabric marker on the back is really helping me correct for drift. Correct for a little bit of drift, shall we say. Nope, don't you dare. Pfft, it did. Because I'm being lazy. I'm not actually knotting it. I'm just twist pulling. Because I'm being leather and rushing, which is never a good thing, but we're so close to just wrapping up this half moon that I'm like, so close. Though having said that, now that I look at it and I look at the time, I'm like, I'm just going to have to admit to myself this half moon's going to have to be finished on my lunch break or something. And it'll go from there. But hey, you know, progress has started on witchifying. Progress has started on witchifying that hat, which is fantastic, which is fan-bloody-tastic. And if I, you know, if I pull the needle out so I don't poke my brains, and just hold, it's like, oh, already I like it more with a little thread detail. And then once we have the repeating pattern on, and then we'll figure out how to make that rim stitch thing work better, because at the moment the way I'm doing it with the satin stitch is not going to work. But yes, thanks everyone for dropping by. Now, before I go, I'm going to give you all a linky-loo, if you don't mind. So this is the pair. Oh dear, I just realized. Huh, that's interesting. This is the page here. That's the book there. If you are enjoying reading serialized fiction, it is there. Let me know how you find it. And I am going to put a wrap on the day. And I will see you tomorrow. So take care, everyone. And I'll see you when I see you. Ta-ta now.
Rock it like you so.